Hi, folks. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the stream. It's time for another release notes with PagerDuty Process Automation. This time we have a special guest with us. Welcome to the stream, Sean.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Awesome. 5.6. What do we got going on this week?
Before we dive into 5.6, let's introduce Sean a little bit more.
Awesome.
All right, so Sean leads our RBA SaaS product as well as automation actions. So, Sean, if you want to elaborate on some of that and say hi.
Yeah, thanks for the warm introduction, Forrest. So, our RBA SaaS platform. So it's all the goodness of what our customers use for our self-hosted product, except it's managed in the cloud by us. So being an RBI SaaS customer means no more worries about upgrades, no toil for maintaining and provisioning your environment. Essentially, you can hand off your admin duties to someone else, and you can focus on authoring, creating, and creating value out of your automation product. So we've been focusing on this for a couple of years now, and we're really excited about what we built, and we've got lots more to come as we continue to mature the platform. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, some of the features that Mandy that we've been talking about, for so many revisions that Jake has been working on, the enterprise runners, are what really brought the SaaS product, to fruition, right? It's hard to allow, you wouldn't want to just open up firewalls to control everything in your environment. So, that architecture, that Jake has brilliantly, designed, released, and even our most recent enhancements are still from 5.5, making a lot of waves with customers that are trying that out. Right, that's what really made this SaaS thing happen, and they can get a trial, right, Sean?
Yeah, we have. You can sign up for a trial through PagerDuty.com. We have a form in our automation section. Fill that out. You get a couple-week Runbook Automation SaaS trial, and if you want to try out both automation actions and RBA SaaS together, if you're a PagerDuty incident management customer, there's a page where you can sign up in product, and again get access to both products for 14 days for free. And we've had a lot of great engagement through both of them, and I think lost my train of thought for a second. I'll pass it back to you, Forrest.
Well, one thing I'll also call out, right, in terms of differentiation and value of the SaaS offering is that, so many of the use cases of Rundeck users coming from open source or even our on-premise commercial customers is triggering these workflows, triggering these automation jobs from an external system, a third-party tool. Right, and that may have been PagerDuty, but oftentimes it's also ServiceNow or Jira or Zendesk, etc. And almost all of those tools are exclusively SaaS tools themselves. And so, getting that connective tissue between those tools and the self-hosted product is a headache. Right, it's either a security concern or it's a bit of network finagling. And so, having the SaaS product enables you to accomplish these kind of self-service interfaces, these self-service use cases far more easily. And so, we have an app in the ServiceNow store to make it easy to trigger Runbook automation jobs, and customers, again, triggering these from Jira and Freshservice and from PagerDuty. And so, the SaaS offering opens up more doors more easily.
Yeah, and we've even seen with customers who up until now were never SaaS for their orchestration and automation, who were always self-hosted and would never consider moving to SaaS. We're starting to see that customers are very accepting of having their control layer in the cloud and using runners for secrets management and for Git operations for pulling the jobs and local log storage. And we're even talking to some current FedRAMP customers, which has a high degree of security required to maintain your FedRAMP status. And they're seeing our RBA SaaS architecture as viable and compatible with maintaining FedRAMP because of how secure the runner is when it's installed.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what other benefits are folks hoping to get out of using the SaaS? The obvious ones to me is like, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
The maintenance, upgrading and staying current is a challenge.
Yeah.
Automation, by nature, can turn into something that you set it and it does what it does, and you almost forget what you did, a few years ago in my own personal case on how we use it internally. Sometimes I have to look at those jobs and say, now, what did I do here? Because sometimes I like to say it becomes like the plumbing in your house. It just works and delivers what it needs to deliver, and you don't want to touch it, right? Because then you touch it, and there's that chance of some issues. But that being said, the SaaS also allows you to stay current without that risk of doing the plumbing yourself. Yeah. Right? We'll be the experts to handle upgrades, keep things current. And the runner architecture also allows that, slight bit of step away from that infrastructure. So, going forward, I think we'll also see, a lot of great releases and things coming to this house. So yeah, glad to have Sean here. Although we're gonna have to find out from Joey what his thing is, because I'm wearing my fish hat and Jake has a zip up on.
Yeah, we've met the barrier here. So Sean, you gotta pick an item that sort of represents you for folks, for sure.
So stay tuned, I guess, for next time on that one. We can get into the 5.6 notes. I will, as usual, share a screen here. This one. And so 5.6 with all of the amazing stuff that came out with 5.5 and that we talked about last time, 5.6 was a little bit of a break for the engineering team, as well as some much needed cleanup. You can see multiple CVE numbers here. We definitely needed to address some outstanding findings and make sure that the product, whether it's on-prem or the SaaS version, is secure. There is one enhancement here. It's now possible to set some temporary directories in the runners. And Jake, how do those temporary directories, like, why is this important for customers?
Well, there's a whole host of use cases where customers want to leverage the runner's host for saving data, saving files, and then later using that in the workflow, and giving them a kind of a stateful place to for data during a given workflow. And so being able to declare where that happens is kind of a nice to have, but a need to have for many customers, especially if the runner's host is being used for other means. There are some underlying components of the software as well that leverage temp directories, like our file copier plugins for executing scripts on remote nodes. And so just having that flexibility of choosing where that takes place under the hood is nice for customers to have.
Right. Looking down, nothing else is jumping out at me. I don't know if you guys are seeing anything on the release notes, but like I said, it was a lighter release on the forward features. A lot of fixes. You see this prefix, fix, and more security things in the open source section down here, where you can look at the PRs and see what the teams actually doing. One thing that did stand out in this release is our community contributors. We had multiple people helping us build the product. And this can be pulled from different repositories. I think some of these, or maybe most of these, were from our docs repository. But it's good to see, some names that that are not under the staff list popping up here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So in that vein, I thought since we don't have some feature items to really talk about, I'd talk a little bit more about ways to contribute and things that we've seen folks doing recently.
That'd be awesome.
As I mentioned, there's the docs repository, github.com/rundeck/docs. Our full documentation site is hosted here. And it's all in Markdown. There's even I should have had it pulled up, but there's even a learning article on how to make, just minor changes right here in GitHub. You don't have to know all the complicated Git commands or, be a developer to notice a typo if you want to add a sentence. And I'm just picking a random page here, but you can come in and make edits right here and submit those to us for fixes. And, when we get around to the next release, that would get picked up and you'll get a shout out there in the release notes. That's one way. That's probably the most common way that we get help from the community. One near and dear to me recently, because I spent, I had a pretty open day on Friday, so I spent most of my time working on our Terraform provider.
Ooh.
So a little context on our Terraform provider. The Terraform provider is not something that our engineering team generally spends time on or prioritize for that. We rely almost 100% on the community providing, enhancements or updates. I tend to manage, be the one that goes in and checks out pull requests. I will admit to those that are rolling their eyes, maybe, if they're listening to this, because I definitely don't do it often enough. It does take, quite a bit of time to wrap my head around again. Oh yeah, how did I do that last time? And sometimes it rabbit holes into a lot of other updates that we have to make because Terraform is progressing as we're waiting. But we do get around to them eventually. And I wanted to give a shout out to 3 particular accounts that in this most recent update, that the 048, that provided, some enhancements. Some of these had been out, had been requests for a long time, and they were able to either shore up other pull requests or actually implement some fixes. First one, Andrea Burling, sorry if I'm saying the name wrong. I'm just reading the username as best I can. A couple of pull requests from this user. One in particular allows for the import of information. So instead of just pushing, to Rundeck, whether it's jobs or projects or whatever, you can actually do an import of a job definition, and it will give you maybe what the what the code needs to be, or at least import it into your state. Read up on how import works with the Terraform, but thank you very much to this user. Another one, Mark Auding, couple of at least one pull request, and then a couple of issues answered and going back and forth and responding. So really appreciate the engagement there, and I'm gonna keep my eye on the issues list for a little while here. And another pull request from this one, I don't know if there's a way to pronounce that as a username, but we do appreciate this engagement on that.
Sweet.
And just beyond that, if there's other open source areas, that I think the place to start would be the Rundeck plugins repo. There's we're going to be doing some cleanup on these in the near future. We're going to be doing some enhancements on our own to the Kubernetes ones, but there's a lot of good plugin examples out here. Obviously, as you can see from the graph, the Ansible plugin is the most active, kind of always has been. We do a lot of work on it, but this started as an open source project many years ago, and we just took it over maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. from the original owner. They were kind of done maintaining it, and but it's still open source, and we're still, we still welcome pull requests from the community.
And there's some, say, well-seasoned projects in there that maybe could use a little bit of updating occasionally as well, right?
So some of these ones that are out here, we were just talking about this with the team recently, have actually been folded into the core Rundeck product.
Oh, awesome.
So we're going to be
super
going
helpful.
through and kind of matching up the list of, is there still a repository out here, or is this now managed, directly in the Rundeck code base, where that that plugin has just been baked in. And we do that just to simplify the build of the product,
Sure.
rather than having and it also simplifies package management, or a variety of other things. We're trying to figure out the right balance between providing this standalone plugin where customers can bring in what they want and use what they need, as in contrast with just bundling it all in there.
Sweet. All right, awesome. Yeah, I've added a comment in LinkedIn. If folks are joining us from there, you can scroll down on the page and check out those repositories and other places where you can help out, as well as a link to the full release notes if you want to check all that stuff out.
And then, I stopped sharing, but I think the last bit that I was gonna talk about is how to engage with us. The forums, right? Our community forums here at PagerDuty are probably the best way. We also have Rainer. We should invite Rainer one day to come and let people see his face. And he's specifically, tasked with engaging with the community, finding out what's going on in the community, responding to, all the variety of sources out there. There's Stack Overflow, there's GitHub issues, there's all kinds of Google groups, etc.
Yeah.
We have the PagerDuty forums. I think I probably check that one the most often. And then Rainer's doing a great job of covering the others. So I guess where I'm going with that is, if you have created something, share it with us. Let us know.
Yes.
Maybe if it's compelling enough, we'll bring you on to this particular feed and give you a chance to talk about it and share what you've done and experiences around developing for that that open source community.
Yeah, 100%. We have just relaunched the new community site as of last Monday. So
awesome.
For folks out there who haven't visited us in a while, it does look different. You may have to re-log in, change your password, whatever. We're still working on some SSO things there, but the new platform is up and running, and we are anxiously taking questions there to
I am glad I did not try to do that live.
Yes, right. You'd be very surprised. It's totally different now. And this is our last platform.
Great. Well, that's another reason. I know it had the point. It still have the points thing. Like, you can go out and get some points, which
we're working on a new project there to help folks get more swag and engage with us a little bit more. So that is coming. It hasn't been launched yet, but Jenda and Miguel are working
get started
on that.
there. Stock the forums, and there are opportunities for swag. Obviously, if you share that an open source offering to us, we will do what we can to especially include your name in release notes, but maybe get some swag out as well. So
100%.
If there's ever questions, post them there. Rainer will help us keep track of all of that, and let's definitely try and bring him around in the next couple of releases.
Yeah, that would be great. I've tried to get him in the past. He's reluctant to be on screen, but we will. If we both triangulate and persuade him, maybe that will get us over.
Pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Jake, how are things going with your world? Anything else?
I was going to call out one enhancement that we also made in the latest release around our HTTP request plugin, which is a pretty heavily used plugin. Kind of gives users something similar to Postman in the Rundeck product, both open source and commercial. So you can, as a step within a job, you can just make any HTTP request, GET request, POST request, and different auth mechanisms to find your headers and post body, like all of that. And one of the desired enhancements was to be able to set certain parameters of that plugin at the project or system level. So if, for example, the primary use case here was that if you say that a given project within Rundeck or within our commercial product is always operating behind a proxy, a web proxy, and so all web requests, for jobs within that project should pass through a web proxy rather than go straight to the target endpoint. You don't want to have to define that for every job that uses this plugin. And so being able to set that at the project level or at the framework/system level is pretty valuable. It also filled a gap that was actually pretty necessary, which is that some customers install the entire Rundeck behind a proxy, even for making calls to internal endpoints. All those need to go through the proxy, and so they declare like the JVM proxy settings for the entire Rundeck install, and those proxy settings wouldn't cascade down to the HTTP request plugin. And so even if you define for the JVM that all web requests should go through this proxy, the HTTP plugin was still just trying to go straight to whatever endpoint you were trying to hit. And so this enhancement now allows you to say that you want the plugin to respect those settings. Actually, you don't. I shouldn't say you have to configure that. That is now implicitly done. The plugin looks to see if you have those JVM proxy settings set, and will respect them if you do. So it was a pretty necessary, I'd say, enhancement, and that is with 5.6 as well.
Yeah, I can imagine that's super important to a lot of people out there. We used to run into weird proxy configurations all the time when I worked at Chef. Just like,
oh yeah,
insane. So.
Yeah, and so since that plugin is one of the plugins that will run from the runner, again, like you have maybe a given project that all jobs in that project are running through this runner, and therefore all jobs that run through that runner, like they need to run through a web proxy. So this just makes that achievable. So customers can working around that in various hacky ways. Our customers are technical geniuses, which is a blessing and a curse, and that we don't always hear about the gaps or enhancements that we should bake into the product. But things like this, when we do find them out, we try to bake them in. So that's an open source plugin as well. We maintain it and own it and make sure that it's safe to use and it's bundled into the commercial product. But that's another example of a repo that customers can see and contribute to as well.
Awesome. All right. Anything you want to tease on the future releases? Anything that's coming down the pike?
I can tease that we are continuing our investment on distributed automation, the enterprise runner, and that our focus between now and probably the end of the year is baking in some pretty significant enhancements of features that will make the resiliency and horizontal scalability of runners native to the product. And I'll leave it at that.
That sounds exciting for all those clever folks out there who have probably come up with something wild to do that on their own.
You are not wrong. There have been ways to do it, but not in an elegant way. And speaking with customers, many customers want this. They are eager for it. Those we've spoken about how we intend on solving it are excited about it. So yeah, that's the foreshadowing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty exciting for sure.
Awesome. Longer term, we are starting, research and gathering feedback on the job authoring experience in general.
Oh, okay.
Very, very broad swipe statement there. This is particularly focused UI, UX, or, what's a feature that, that might help you build a job bigger, better, faster. So, feedback like that also, we can focus on that new communities space.
Yeah.
For an initial reach out. If you're a paying customer, you can go through your customer success agent to get time with either Jake or myself or Sean. Any of us can take those conversations to just chat with, where the friction is and where we might do some broader improvements. So that's a very big picture thing. We don't have anything picked out yet. Everything's on the table, and nothing's on the table at the same time. But we are keenly interested in streamlining some job authoring.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, for sure. My mind's like, oh yeah, there could be all kinds of stuff. You go in a million different directions there. You're like, oh, we can do drag and drop and no code stuff, and like, oh, where are we going? And yeah, sweet, awesome. All right. Is there anything else you want to share before we head out?
I think that's it for us, for me at least.
Okay.
All right, Andy.
I think we covered a lot.
Sweet.
Great to see you, Mandy. We'll see you on 570 day.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, we're always here. So take care, guys. Everybody else out there, we'll wish you an uneventful day, and we'll see you again with the next release. Bye.
Bye.